And you can sense if you have a bit of extra weight on the floor, where you notice that influence. So in this lesson that we're going to continue with, I would remind you that medicine, something that makes you better, something that you might actually need, is often like poison. A little bit is wonderful. Your system can absorb it, get what it needs. But what happens if you take too much? So it is with these lessons of differentiating our arms. So please go gently. Because getting the movement is not the most important thing. Sensing yourself is most important. And Moshe says that the improvements you experience in your movements or in the movements of a lesson, in the lessons we do or in your movements, are a present to you for your attention of learning how to act. So the movements are the improvement is a present to you for your attention of learning how to act. The movement is unimportant. It is used only so that people who improve can also become more supple and strong and able to do what they want. Don't think of these lessons as exercises in the usual sense of the word that the word exercise is used, and give up the idea of achieving the movement at any personal cost to yourself. When you do the movements in these lessons, think that you're doing them in order to change your way of action so that you can go on evolving, growing as a human being, capable of directing your own life in such a way that it is comfortable to live. If your nervous system tells you it's painful, don't be an idiot and continue. Pain is important. It's an important biological necessity. It tells us when we're in danger, what to avoid. And we wouldn't be able to live a day, well, maybe, or very long without pain as a warning system. So listen to yourself. Please bend your knees and stand your feet. And notice if where you've chosen to stand your feet has been influenced by what you explored before lunch. Gently lift your pelvis a little bit and lower it. And then do that again. Unweight your pelvis. So it's as if you're using your feet on the floor to unweight your pelvis, to lighten the weight, to lessen its contact, and then put it back down. As you do that, what direction, if any, do your knees move in? Do they stay glued to the same location in space? Do they move a little bit forwards and downwards over your feet? When you think of unweighting your pelvis, do you lift your coccyx end first and then feel the leaning place move upward towards the top of your pelvis and your lumbar vertebra? Or do you think of lifting the whole of your pelvis altogether? Does the lifting of your pelvis relate to your breathing in any way? Can you feel as you unweight your pelvis that your feet press a little more into the floor? You might feel the leaning place, the contact between your back and the floor, shift upwards. Does the shape of your spine change as you lift your pelvis? The shape of your lower back and its curve? The shape of the arch of your neck? The relationship of your chin to your chest, throat? And rest a moment. So do you remember the feeling of solidity if you got to the place, if you found the place where someone could sit on your knees and you felt like it was nothing? There was no threat to your system. There was no sense of instability or weakness, in inverted commas. It's just you felt strong. So that's a quality. That is a quality that we sense when our weight is being transmitted to the ground through our skeleton in whatever position. Please bend your knees again. Stand your feet. This time you're going to lift your pelvis and bring your right hand under your back and hold on to your right wrist with your left hand. And then begin to pull your wrist, your right wrist with your left hand. Pull your right hand through to the left. So you're going to lift your pelvis. You hold on to your right wrist with your left hand. And your pelvis will stay in the air a little bit, which means it's even more important that you've got a place where you can stand your feet clearly, solidly, and you pull your right hand through to the left. And notice what happens through your torso. So most that I see are either translating their torso on the floor, or some are side bending, and some are doing a little bit of side bending and a little bit of rolling. Do you only have the one way, or do you have several ways, several shapes that you could make in order to do this? Moshe very kindly says, it's a major reorganization to be able to pull your hand through underneath yourself to the other side. But our ability or skill comes from a neurological organization, not from the muscle fibers themselves. The muscle fibers can only turn on or off, contract or decontract. So do it slowly. Think, feel, sense, imagine, flink, flink. That was somebody's word, Frank Wildman's actually. I'm not sure if he was the first or if Moshe said it, but feeling and thinking together. Flinking. Flinking yourself. It's no wonder babies often have the capacity to entertain themselves if it's interesting how they're moving or it's pleasurable in sensation. Okay, bring your right arm out, your arms out, lower your pelvis and pause a moment. Could you bend your knees again, stand your feet, lift your pelvis, bring your left hand under and hold your left wrist with your right hand underneath yourself and begin to explore the same idea on this side of drawing your left arm underneath yourself towards your right side, finding out how you do it. Same movement as on the other side. You're holding your left wrist with, lift your pelvis, hold your left wrist with your right hand and begin to pull your left arm with your right through to the right. And remember, it's not easy. It's a major, major reorganization. If it's difficult for you, you could have your hands low down near your pelvis. If it's not so difficult, you could have your hands higher, your elbows bent. Notice if increasing the pressure between your lower teeth and your upper teeth helps. Can you flink? What's happening through the length of your spine? Your ribs on the right side, the left side, your clavicles, your shoulder blades. What is your sternum doing as your left arm is pulled through to the right? Which is it sliding relative to your spine? Is it turning in space? And what do you do with your head? So I haven't dictated. I haven't been a dictator this time. Not dictating, keep your head still. So does your head slide in one direction, side bend, or turn, or a little bit of both? And you're breathing. Okay, leave that. Bring your arms out. And remember, you can rest whenever you need. Lengthen your legs. So how have those movements influenced impressed your nervous system? Sense any shift in your breathing? Please bend your knees again. Stand your feet. Lift your pelvis. Bring your left hand underneath yourself. This time think you wanted to roll to the left. So you're going to hold on to your left hand with your... Oh, we started with right. Sorry. Go right hand underneath yourself. Hold on to your right wrist with your left hand. Lift your pelvis as you think you need to. And think that you wanted to roll yourself to the left. Would it be possible to keep your hands on the floor? So your right hand would be going through to the left as you roll to the right. Yeah, sorry. I got myself disoriented. And you can lift your pelvis. So you're holding your right wrist with your left hand. You're lifting your pelvis as high or whatever as you need, and you're rolling yourself to the right as if you wanted to pull your right hand through to the left so it will go underneath yourself. You would roll over on top of it. But don't try and do it. Don't try and do it. Okay. No, the right hand is being pulled through to your left, so you would be rolling over your upper arm. And remember, it's like poison. Too much, not good for you. The right amount has amazing results, amazing influence on the system. Okay, bring your arm out, rest. Lower your pelvis and rest a moment. So it's interesting, I have to see people not doing it all together or not resting before I invite you to rest. So what could you listen to in yourself that might guide you to rest? Enthusiasm can be a gift and a curse. I'm full of platitudes this afternoon. God, what a gift and a curse. So, enthusiasm, I think, has a quality that's almost addictive. It kind of consumes you, it hooks you and takes you along for the ride. You get caught by a wave of enthusiasm. And I've learned in my practice, I've had several clients, well, one in particular, who was able to tell me by her pain, we could relate, we could connect my enthusiasm to her pain. That as soon as I became enthusiastic, her pain increased. So it was actually a gift after the first lesson. She had the courage and the motivation to come back. And I learned to recognize, I had an opportunity to recognize when my enthusiasm took over and to play in that zone. Now, it may not be true for you. It may be something else. But I think we do often have some commonality being human beings, unless there's anyone here in disguise. What's that? Tear off your mask now. So, please bend your knees. So note your own level of enthusiasm, whether it's enthusiasm or a reversible curiosity. And bend your knees, stand your feet, lift your pelvis, bring your right arm underneath yourself, hold it with your left hand, and then see, can you lower your pelvis back down over your arms and lift it again. Just very gently. So your arms are under your back, or one arm could be under your back if one shoulder is uncomfortable. Just notice how this asks your spine to change its shape, change its curve, and then lift it up again. But if you've got only one arm under your back, it needs to be under your lumbar vertebra, not under your pelvis, so that it actually brings in a constraint, and you have to arch your lower back a little bit or create some movement further elsewhere in your spine to allow that to happen. So keep your pelvis lowered. So you probably feel that the coccyx end of your pelvis is touching the floor. In that position, can you expand your abdomen and then pull it in? So, but we're going to do it this way. Today we're going to breathe out and expand the abdomen, and breathe in and draw in the abdomen and expand the chest, your chest. And keep doing that, feeling what it's like to do that in this position, what stands out, where in your chest do you feel your shape changing? So your arm is behind your lower back, your coccyx, your pelvis is resting on the floor, more towards the coccyx end. And then you're going to breathe in, pull in your abdomen, expand your chest. Breathe out, push your belly out, and expand your lower abdomen. And do that seesaw movement. So Moshe uses this seesaw movement in many lessons because it demands, it interrupts our usual way of holding in our thorax and our abdomen and our lower back. Yes. One or two. Lower back, lumbar vertebra, not under your sacrum. About your waist level. So if you're not sure where your lower back is, you could put your hands on the sides of your pelvis, and then where your thumbs go round the back, if your elbows are outside, your thumbs would be on the top of your pelvis. Then your lumbar vertebra are about that height, loosely about that height, if you join a line between your thumbs. So then you place your arm where it's most comfortable under your lower back. No constraints, open mouth, closed mouth. You could do the you've probably all done the seesaw movement before. You can do it with holding your breath, and that will have a different influence to whether you breathe in or you breathe out. And you can do it without any interruption to your breathing. Can you do all those 3 ways? Okay. Leave that. Bring your arms out and rest a moment. And what sort of moment do you need? If you rest when you need, the length of rest you need is frequently less. Please bend your knees. Bring your right hand under your lower back again. Hold on to your wrist with your left hand. Now raise your right leg. Sorry, let me just get this right. No, raise your left leg. Raise your left leg towards the ceiling. So the knee will be slightly bent and the sole of your foot will be towards the ceiling, if you can. So it's not pointing towards me. The sole of your foot is not pointing towards me. Your foot, it will be above your torso, even if your knee is bent. That's getting it. Now, keeping your leg long, could you imagine that 12 o'clock is towards the ceiling, 3 o'clock is to the floor to the right of you, and 9 o'clock is to the floor to the left of you? Very slowly move your leg a little bit towards 1 o'clock and then back to 12. Then back to 1 o'clock. Left leg. Didn't I say left leg? It is the left leg. Oh my goodness. It's Thursday afternoon. Well, sure, you're all doing it with the wrong leg, so I must have said it wrong. Okay, your left leg, and you're going to the left towards 1 o'clock and a little bit to the right. So 1 o'clock is to the right and 11 o'clock. I'm glad you're all awake. 11 o'clock is to the left. Chocolate? Maybe. I'm not sure. It would help. So what would you need to do to add another hour? Go very, very gently to begin with. So you'd need to include all of yourself, your entire self, as it can move in this action. Your breathing, your jaw, your eyes, the spaces between your toes, your pelvic floor, space between your legs, your right foot on the ground, your left. Feel how your clavicles are moving, your sternum relative to your spine. No, it's a vertical clock. Yeah. To rest, please. Moshe wanted, hoped that his method, from his method, you would get the feeling for your own comfort and security. in a way that you become the best judge for yourself of when to stop. Please bend your knees. Lift your pelvis and bring your right hand underneath again, your left hand holding your right wrist. And if this one's difficult for you, you can do it on the other side. Lift your pelvis again and roll a little bit to your right. And then bring it back, bring your back back, lower your pelvis again and lift it. So often we think the problem is in our shoulder or our arms, but actually it's created by our general stiffness and lack of flexibility in our chest, in the vertebra of the thoracic spine. So leave your pelvis on the floor again and go back to the seesaw breathing. What shape does your chest make when you push your abdomen out? Can you feel your back expanding backwards? And do you have any sense of your chest widening, flattening? And what shape does your chest make when you pull your abdomen in? So maybe you can sense the demands of this position. Okay, please bring your arms out. Lower your pelvis. Rest a moment. This time, bend your knees. Leave your arms beside yourself. Stand your feet. And lift your pelvis and lower it. So your arms can be out to the sides, and unless it's painful, can you put your elbows, palms, your arms and hands in a way that your palms are face down and your elbows are a bit wider apart than your hands? And rest them like that. And now lift and lower your pelvis. Many times. Pardon? Yeah, absolutely. To lift your pelvis, your knees are bent. Each time, can you lift your pelvis a little bit more? And then lower it back down again. But check whether you're explore the position of your feet. Everybody has improved relatively in terms of having their feet more in a position where they can really stably use them to lean into the floor and lift themselves. There's a few drifters. And so if I say that, you can check, do you feel like you're one of the drifters? If you're not, you don't have to worry about it. But you still check. So gradually lift higher till you feel like your thoracic vertebrae are also lifting away from the floor. And the next time you're up there, you've lifted your pelvis, your lumbar vertebra, your thoracic vertebra, so you're somewhere resting on the middle of your thoracic spine or a little bit higher or lower. Could you keep your pelvis at that height and do the explore seesaw breathing? Drawing your abdomen in, expanding your chest, pushing your abdomen out, shrinking your chest. Make it a little faster. If you're doing this well and you're not lifting and lowering your pelvis, it's going to start moving your body, rocking you a little up headward and footward. You may feel your chin coming a little closer and further from your sternum, so that the movement's going up to your head. Your spine is being pushed between your shoulder blades. So the weight of your head is being affected by that vertical transmission of force, and your head rocks a little bit on its leaning place. So now, okay, rest a moment. Next time you lift your pelvis, come up to a similar position, not as high as you can, but where you're leaning more on the thoracic spine. Stay there. Start off by doing a couple of seesaw movements. Feel the rocking motion. And then you'll stop the seesaw movements and see if you can continue the rocking motion with your feet, headward and footward. Hands as they had them last time. Elbows a bit wider than your hands, palms down. Lift your pelvis into the air. 1 or 2 movements of seesaw breathing just to get that feeling of, can you get that feeling that that movement of oscillation through your chest, expanding your abdomen, shrinking your chest, expanding your chest, shrinking your abdomen, so your feet stay on the floor. And it's not rocking, your pelvis stays at the same height. Your head stays on the floor. So you can do the seesaw breathing. You know what it is? Push your belly out. That's it. Pull your belly in. Yep. Push your belly out. Yep. Pull your belly in. And you do not need these. That's interfering. That's it. Yep. But you're using your feet as well. So the direction was to first try and rock your body through the seesaw movement in your torso that creates a rocking. And now we're trying to do it with our feet without the seesaw movement. So you keep your pelvis at the same height, press your feet into the floor, and push upwards through your legs, into your hip joints, into your pelvis, along the length of your spine, in the direction of your head. So it's not lifting and lowering your shoulders. It's good to know what it's not, huh? Did you know you were doing that? Yeah. Okay. So push with your feet. There. Yep. Yeah. It's still an extra. And again, if you're got your pelvis lifted, you probably do. If you have something under your head, it's more than likely that it's constraining you. So take it out. Yep. It's a few. Okay, come down and rest. You know, there's so many different ways that we learn. We can learn. And sometimes we do learn quickly. Sometimes we can learn quickly well. Sometimes we learn quickly and badly. Sometimes we can learn slowly well or slowly badly. So you may as well do it for your own comfort. You will learn. And if you attend to your own comfort, the neurological reorganization that is the background of learning will occur, will be happening. Come back onto your back, please. Stand your feet, arms in the same way. And explore lifting your pelvis a little bit higher. But slowly, you're lifting it away, unweighting it, feeling how your pelvis lifts. Does it tilt? Does it lift directly like a spacecraft? What shape does your lower back make? What happens with the leaning place between your back and the floor? What happens in your hip joints as you lift higher? You sense the opening in the front of the hip joints? And what angle are your thighs at in relationship to the floor? They 45 degrees? Make a 45-degree angle? Or are they more towards parallel with the floor? Now, that's what's possible, but it doesn't mean it's possible for you right now. You may need to adjust the position of your feet to be even, your lower legs to be even more vertical. Come down and rest a moment. That was a good strategy, Ruth. That was a good strategy. Please bend your knees, stand your feet, lift your pelvis in the air, and use your legs to rock yourself again. So you lift your pelvis as high as you can comfortably. What sort of image can you form of your spine and how the motion passes through from your feet to your head and back again? Could you pause a moment, Mac? Sorry. Bring your pelvis down, pause. Then lift your pelvis again. Stand your feet, lift your pelvis. Bring your right arm underneath your back and bring both arms underneath your back. See if you can hold the forearm. Either hold the wrists of each hand or hold the forearms. Or if it's easy for you, you would be holding your elbows, leaving your hands on the floor. So you want to find a position where your hands are on the floor, not following your back up into the air. but the hands are holding each other, if that's possible. Could be that just your fingertips are touching, if that's what's possible. Okay, now you've got the position. Can you bring your arms out, rest your pelvis for a moment? So some people could get the organization very quickly. So they were up there quite a while we were explaining it. So what you can do when teaching ATM is give a general outline like that, and then take a pause. And then people are a little more familiar with the configuration. So it's easier to begin the exploration that you were going to do in that position. Please lift your pelvis, bring your arms underneath yourself, holding where you can, and begin to move both arms on the floor, sliding right and left with your pelvis just lifted enough so that your thorax isn't pressing on your arms. Here, there's no constraint on the head. So notice if you put a constraint on the head, because you learned it so well from last time. But if your head doesn't have any unnecessary work going on, your head is likely to be rolling. So there's the weight of the head, there's the friction of the floor, and the drag and changing angle of your shoulders will lead to a rolling of your head. Okay. Lift your pelvis, bring your arms out, lower your pelvis down and rest a moment. That's great. Half of you had rested that time before I said it. Please come back, bend your knees, bring your hands under, lift your pelvis, bring your hands under your back, but change your way of holding. So you would have had a dominant, like one hand held first and then the other. So change it. And it'll be a slight difference. And now do the seesaw movement of your abdomen and chest in this position with your pelvis lifted, your arms behind you, and let your body rock. Can you keep doing that seesaw movement? Letting your body rock a little bit, but it's not from your feet so much as the seesaw movement. And while you do that seesaw movement, lower your pelvis to the floor. Tricky. And bring your arms out. Lower your pelvis. Take a rest. Bend your knees, stand your feet, bring your arms under your back. Hold on to one arm with your other arm. Lift your pelvis in the air. Bring your place of leaning higher up near the base of your neck. And so your arms stay on the floor. And see if you can begin to make a circle of pressure around that place on your upper thoracic vertebra or your region between your neck and your ribs. A circle. Can you go slow enough that you really feel it is a circle? That you change the leaning point of pressure. As if you had a crayon on your back and the movement that you're doing would leave the trace of a circle on the floor. And change directions. And rest when you need to. Rest anyway. Do you know what direction you drew your circle in? Bend your knees, stand your feet. Bring your arms behind your back. Lift your pelvis high enough that you can reduce the friction between your arms and your ribs. And bring that place of leaning as high as you comfortably can. So you're really resting probably on the vertebra between the tops, between your shoulders. And now this can be such an amazing movement if you can do it with real delicacy, lightness, to feel, to connect what's happening in those moments when your circle loses its roundness. Is that a place where you hold your breath or you stiffen your neck? Or where you hold someplace through the length of your spine? Are you really doing, is the upper half of your circle the same shape and size as the lower half? And the same to the right and the same to the left? Okay, bring your arms out, lower your pelvis, and rest a moment. Bend your knees, stand your feet. Bring your left arm underneath your lower back. So your knees are bent. Lift your left arm as behind your lower back. Lift your right leg to the ceiling. And slowly tilt it a little to 12, to 1, and then back to 12, to 11. Left leg. No, sorry. Right leg. So your left arm is behind your back. Your right leg is in the air. Your pelvis is on the floor. And you're moving your right leg to the left and to the right and feeling what happens through your chest with your clavicles, especially your left clavicle, ribs and shoulder blade on your left side, between your sternum and your spine. And what would you need to be able to do to go another hour in either the direction? Okay, leave it. Bring your leg down, lift your pelvis. Take your arm out, lengthen your legs for a moment. Please bend your knees one last time. Bring your other arm underneath your back. Other arm. Your other left arm. Put your pelvis back down. Lift your left leg towards the ceiling, so the sole of your foot faces the ceiling. Then begin to tilt your left leg from 12 to 1 and back to 12 and to 11. Feeling what happens along the length of your spine. So be more interested in going in the direction of 3 than you are in direction of 9. How does your right side change its relationship with the floor? How are your ribs able to accommodate to the interference of your arm? You're doing very well. I don't have to keep the poison bottle in the medicine cupboard, huh? You're self-monitoring. So bring your leg back to the middle. Stand your foot. Lift your pelvis. Slide your arm out. Lengthen your arms. Lengthen your legs. And listen to what you sense. Sense what you feel. How your arms lie. How your shoulders relate to the floor. The length of your spine, your breathing. The length of yourself. From your right heel to the top of your head. From your left heel to the top of your head. From your right arm to your left arm. The front of you, the back of you. And please slowly roll yourself to one side. bring yourself up to standing. Notice how you experience standing now. Support of your legs, hanging of your arms. And explore, as I forgot to do last time, that idea of bringing your hand up through the midline to come overhead. So your elbow stays low to begin with. Doesn't need to lift. Could, but it doesn't need to. But the hand leads. It's as if your hand's coming to your mouth, hands coming to the cap on your head, and you wanted to take your hat off, raise it in the air, and wave the flag. That's it. So do it once or twice with one arm, then once or twice with the other arm. And we'll take a 5-minute pause. Water out and come back.